have the territorial acknowledgement and then stand for the singing of O Canada.
We would like to acknowledge
that the land on which we gather here today
was used by the Haudenosaunee,
Anishinaabe, and Neutral people.
We also acknowledge the enduring presence
and deep traditional knowledge,
les lois et les philosophies traditionnelles
of the indigenous people
with whom we share this land today.
With whom we share this land today.
With whom we share this land today.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda? Trustee Meisner, seconded by Trustee Johnson. All in favor? And that is carried. We are going to move on to announcements and celebrating board activities. But before we do that, I am going to read the bylaw that addresses this part of the agenda. Bylaw 25.10.1 reads, presentations made under the announcements celebrating board activities section on the regular board meeting agenda shall be limited to information concerning events or activities at which the trustee or student trustee presenting the report was acting on behalf of or representing the board as an advocate for public education. So, are there any celebrations of board activities? Trustee Weston.
Thank you. Through you, on October 15th, Chair Radlin and I attended the Special Olympics Ontario Sports Festival at Stanley Park Senior Public School. 7 ACE classes from junior and intermediate grades across WRDSB schools came together to try new activities, build confidence, and have fun. The day featured sports and activities like a basketball throw, floor hockey, and a shuffleboard-like activity, and others. The students all seemed to be having a really great time, learning skills and cheering each other on. I enjoyed, I think I can speak for Chair Radlin. We enjoyed chatting with the students, teachers, and EAs at the event, and thanks to Stanley Park for hosting, and a big thanks to Special Olympics Ontario for supporting the event, and we are looking forward to the spring event. And on October 25th, again, I, along with Chair Radlin and Associate Director Lemon, attended the Tamil Cultural Night. The evening showcased Tamil arts, culture, and community spirit through dance, song, and a fashion show. Watching some of our students perform was a special delight. So thank you to the organizers for putting this together and for inviting us.
Thank you. Trustee Woodcock?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you. On October 21st, Chair Radlin, Director Miller, Associate Director Lemon, and I represented the board at Mayor Barry Verbanovic's State of the City event held at Center in the Square. It was the support local, quote unquote, theme is especially timely given recent news from Queen's Park. Mayor Barry celebrated local community leaders and local business leaders and many citizens and community groups who are doing great work throughout the city and the region. And that includes elected officials like school board trustees and municipally elected councilors. It was a really well-attended event, and it was a really nice celebration, and I was really happy we could be there.
Thank you. Trustee Wasim?
Thank you. I'm pleased to share that in late September, I had the chance to visit Huron Heights Secondary School and chat with three civics students, three civics studies classes. They asked really keen questions about how government works. They were passionate about leadership, and it was really cool to see how they collaborated with one another to talk about pressing issues within the world today. I want to especially thank civics teacher at Huron, Katie Jameson, and Huron principal Jennifer Bistolas for their warm welcome and for creating these experiential learning opportunities for their students.
Thank you. Trustee Johnson?
Thank you. Through the chair, it was my honor to visit Blue Branch, which is a group, an enterprise that's attached with Now Housing in Preston, Cambridge. So in Preston, Cambridge Now Housing has a large manufacturing facility on Laurel Street, and they have incorporated a group called, an organization called Blue Branch, which employs our students who are on cooperative and alternate learning sites to learn skills, to learn building skills, many different kinds of skills. It's a phenomenal place. I was delighted to be there with Superintendent Albrecht, Chair Radlin, along with Principal Moore, who is the principal of our alternate learning, and that was on Monday, October the 20th. What was really impressed with how the staff at Now Housing and the staff at Blue Branch are intertwined, working together to support these students, to support them getting all sorts of their qualifications, so they are employee ready. As soon as they graduate from the program, they are ready to be hired. And in fact, many of them are already have jobs lined up before they leave the program. So it really is an amazing success happening in Cambridge. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a couple additional events to celebrate. So on September the 30th, along with Director Miller and Associate Director Games San Vicente, I was part of the Orange Shirt Day Walk in Kitchener, which goes from the Healing of the Seven Generations on Frederick Street down to Victoria Park. It's always exciting to be at that event because one becomes aware that our indigenous nations are supported by every demographic in the community. There were people of all cultures, religions, ethnicities, and socioeconomic status who came out to remember, honor, respect, and commit to reconciliation with the First Nations of Turtle Island. And on October 22nd, I think that was last week, yes, there was a Black Brilliance event at Kitchener City Hall, and this event is a combined event with both the WRDSB and the WCDSB. And at this event, secondary students gathered to talk about their post-secondary future. There were colleges, universities, employers, there were community partners, all of the organizations in our community who support young people in their pathway to the future. So that was a very exciting event. In addition to the community booths, the WRDSB had different tables there talking about student success, apprenticeship, and the CDSB had similar presentations. So that was a really empowering event, and it's really wonderful to see students taking advantage of all the post-secondary opportunities available to them. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, we are going to go over to Manager Hughes for a communication good news update.
Thank you. Through the chair to the board, good evening. I'm pleased to present to you the good news update for October. Through the presentation, you'll see highlights of the strategic plan objectives in action. This month, we feature highlights of student learning in music, sports, literacy, and exploring post-secondary pathways. We also share the wonderful ways students and staff are giving back to their school communities. This month, we continue to showcase some of the many ways our facilities department is enhancing the learning environments across our schools. We also are including media coverage for the month, and I would like to thank the communications department for all of their efforts in preparing the video and the content. Please enjoy the October Good News Update.
We're pleased to share another good news update for October 2025 as we welcome the arrival of fall. This month, we are sharing the incredible efforts of students, staff, and community members in support of student learning. Our stories are aligned with the most relevant strategic direction, although each of them touches multiple directions in our strategic plan. On September 30th, we recognize the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and Orange Shirt Day. The day honors the children who never returned home and survivors of residential schools, as well as their parents, families, caregivers, and communities. Students and staff across the WRDSB took part in focused learning in support of our shared commitments to truth and reconciliation. As part of our ongoing efforts to support WRDSB parents, families, and caregivers, our psychology staff are offering a number of lunch and learn sessions. These webinars, scheduled over the lunch hour on Wednesdays, aim to equip users with useful tips and information to assist them in supporting their children. Sessions include how to validate your child's emotions and supporting independence, focus on the early years. These are some of the many parent, family, and caregiver information sessions held throughout the year to support family and community engagement to benefit student achievement and well-being. The next Lunch and Learn session is on October 29th. The Kitchener-Waterloo Thanksgiving Day Parade highlighted music, magic, and memories that families have loved for generations. This year, Vista Hills Public Schools Percussion Group were proud to represent their school by marching to the beat, adding to a cherished tradition, bringing energy to the streets, and creating unforgettable memories for the crowd. As part of our ongoing journey to deepen educator and student understanding of Indigenous peoples' worldviews, perspectives, and histories, Glen Cairn Public School hosted an Indigenous-led learning opportunity about lacrosse on October 8th. This experience offered meaningful insight into the cultural significance of the game and its roots within Indigenous communities. On Wednesday, October 15th, 7 WRDSB schools joined together at Stanley Park Public School for a day of sport, connection, and celebration. The event, hosted in partnership with Special Olympics Ontario, welcomed students from alternative continuum of education classrooms across our school board to participate in a sports festival designed to promote inclusion, physical activity, and fun. One student volunteer stated, "It makes everyone feel like they have a chance, and everyone is helping each other. I think that's really great." Chair Meredith Radlin added, "An important takeaway is that there is the ability for everybody to participate. This is the kind of event that makes students really value themselves and know that they belong to a community." Both Chair Radlin and Vice Chair Joanne Weston attended the event. Thank you to the schools, teachers, community, student volunteers, and Special Olympics Ontario for helping make this day a great success. As part of our ongoing efforts to support WRDSB parents, families, and caregivers, the Assistive Technology team are offering a learning series focused on digital tools. The 3-part learning series is focused on supporting students to use read and write tools to translate materials in different languages to increase understanding. These are some of the many parent, family, and caregiver information sessions held throughout the year to support family and community engagement to benefit student achievement and well-being. Visit the website for more information and links to join the upcoming sessions in October and November. On October 8th, the Grade 12 Athletic Leadership class at Grand River Collegiate Institute took to the neighborhood with wagons, not to collect treats, but for non-perishable food donations in support of the Waterloo Region Food Bank. With food insecurity affecting 1 in 8 households in our community, this initiative showcased the school's commitment to community leadership and compassion. Thank you to all the staff, students, and community members who participated in this initiative. Across the WRDSB, we're seeing the impact of Terry Fox's Marathon of Hope. For its second year, Vista Hills Public School surpassed its Terry Fox fundraising goal. To celebrate the school's $7,500 fundraising total, we invited special guests, including the Director of Education Scott Miller and Lionel the Llama, to visit with staff and students. Across the WRDSB, 95 schools participated in the annual Terry Fox School Run. Thank you to all of our students, staff, and community members who help us in achieving our goals. WRDSB graduates are accomplishing incredible things, and we're excited to highlight their stories. Sam Brown's journey began at Northlake Woods Public School and Waterloo Collegiate Institute, leading her to the University of Toronto and the Tisch School of Arts in New York City. She has since built a global career as a film producer and actor. Her passion for the arts was sparked in secondary school by an encouraging art teacher. This support motivated her to pursue visual arts courses, laying the foundation for her future in the creative industry. While focused on academic achievement and preparing for university, Sam remained active in her school community, including participation on the volleyball team. Sam encourages students to explore widely and embrace curiosity. She believes that discovering your interests is a process, and what fits you best will find you. Check out the full story on the WRDSB website. The WRDSB facilities team has been hard at work improving school spaces to better support students and staff. Their efforts focus on creating environments that are safer, more accessible, inclusive, and ergonomic. Some of the key upgrades include Alpine Public School had upgrades to the HVAC, BAS, and electrical systems. Northlake Woods received an important boiler and chiller plant upgrades. The courtyard at Preston High School saw the installation of a new accessibility ramp. And across the board, a range of carpentry, masonry, and plumbing work was completed to maintain and enhance our facilities. These updates reflect our ongoing commitment to creating welcoming and functional spaces for everyone in our school community. Congratulations, Kristen Brown, Communications Officer, Creative Specialist, on recently receiving the Coupe de Coeur Award from the Canadian Association of Communicators in Education for his work in creating a video that highlighted the incredible musical opportunities available to WRDSB students through partnerships with local post-secondary institutions. CASE is a national organization of professionals committed to encouraging and enhancing excellence in communications and education. Brown was recognized among his peers for his outstanding efforts and commitment to communications excellence in supporting and sharing the stories of WRDSB students and staff. Well done, Christian. The Black Brilliance Pathways to Post-Secondary Fair took place this month at Kitchener City Hall, offering an opportunity to gain information about career and education pathways after graduating high school. The event welcomed African, Caribbean, and Black identifying students in grades 10 through 12, alongside their parents, families, and caregivers. They had an opportunity to learn more about academic programs, admission procedures, skilled trades, and career pathways by hearing from representatives of post-secondary institutions. Chair Meredith Radlin and Director Scott Miller attended the event. Thank you to all who helped make this event such a wonderful experience. The work of staff in support of student learning and well-being across the WRDSB was reflected in the news this month. Featured in Education News Canada, Rethinking Summer School, a new kind of learning experience, highlighted the wonderful work of the summer enhancement and summer school programs, showing that learning happens year-round at the WRDSB. As reported by Education News Canada, WRDSB launches a strategic plan community consultations website to gather feedback from students, families, staff, and the broader community, ensuring its multi-year strategic plan continues to reflect shared values and support student success. 15-year-old Zion Shad, a rising football star from EDSS, was named All-Canadian Defensive MVP at a national showcase in Edmonton, impressing coaches with his elite speed, technique, and relentless drive as he pursues his dream of playing NCAA Division I football. Congratulations, Zion. And that wraps up the Good News Update for October 2025.
Thank you, Senior Manager Hughes. Always wonderful to celebrate the achievements of our students. We have no delegation, so we'll move to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? Trustee Ramsey?
motion around school resources officer.
Okay. So can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of folio 20? Trustee Piakowski, seconded Trustee Weston. All in favor? And that is carried. Trustee Ramsey speaking to folio 20.
Yes, Madam Chair, I will move the motion, and I think it's in front of everyone. We need to repeat it. Trustees are aware of it. Sir. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to be speaking to it very, very briefly. And now, whenever it goes to a vote, I'm going to be asking for a recorded vote. And so I just want the board to be aware that on October the 15th, this motion was at the Student Achievement and Wellbeing Standing Committee meeting that was held on October the 15th. And the motion was moved by Trustee Watson to essentially ask the board to reconsider certain aspects of a motion pertaining to school resources officer that was passed originally in 2021. The committee declined to discuss the recommendation. And so I guess it's reasonable to assume that the committee is treating the board decision from 2021 as being a settled one.
Trustee Ramsey, please don't put inferences. So the motion was presented, it was not seconded.
So, Madam Chair,
and please don't ascribe, intentions to other trustees.
So, Madam Chair, I'm not sure if you wish to enter a debate. I'm not trying to debate you. I'm just stating certain things that I think is reasonable to assume. But that said, I would respectfully suggest then that in my view, the board decision from 2021 is not settled. And the reason I say that is that Minister Calandra, the Minister of Education, stated his intention to require boards to work with police services where they offer a school resource officer program. The committee received report from staff with respect to a police protocol, and I'm not sure if it was reasonable to infer that the protocol was essentially supposed to be a replacement for the SRO program, but staff clearly stated at that meeting that the protocol governs the police response to calls for service. So that said, I'd just like to share with the board that at least 3 of us, including myself, met with Minister Calandra in August, and I believe his message was very clear as to what his expectations were. So if the board were to adopt the same position as that of the Student Achievement and Wellbeing Standing Committee, I think the message that the minister, the message that's emerging is that the minister can essentially say what he likes to say, and boards will continue to do what they want to do. So I would encourage my colleagues to simply pass it. I think it's a reasonable request in view of what the minister has said. So it's up to the board, the message that we wish to send to Minister Calandra as he muses over what he intends to do with respect to the boards continuing as an entity.
Thank you, Trustee Ramsey. Trustee Piakowski.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate Trustee Ramsey mentioning at the committee that he intended to pull this from the consent agenda to give fair warning to his colleagues. So I did have some time to think about it. I will not be supporting the motion at the board, just as I was not prepared to second or vote for it at the standing committee meeting. The motion refers to a motion of the legislature that was passed in 2024. Those are symbolic and non-binding motions. For example, in 1989, the House of Commons famously promised to eliminate child poverty by the year 2000. Of course, that never happened, and that's because the motion was non-binding. So it was advice from the legislature to the minister, and the minister has received that advice, but it's not a binding motion. Now, Bill 33, which was referenced by Trustee Ramsey, is still before the legislature. It's in second reading, so it still will go to public hearings, so there's an opportunity for public input. So if it passes, either in its current form or with amendments, we will of course be bound by provincial legislation and regulations, just as we have by Bill 98 and other legislation. That's what forced us to change to stop holding committee of the whole meetings and have standing committees instead. We have been bound by things like Bill 124, which was subsequently ruled to be unconstitutional. So we do obey legislation, but there's no need for us to take any action to rescind a previously adopted motion, since legislation does supersede board motions. Most importantly, we shouldn't rewrite history by pretending that there was no massive outcry 5 years ago calling on school boards to remove police officers from schools. There was. We all received the emails. I went back, there were over 350 emails from WRDSB students. And in my time on the board since 2018, there has been no other issue that has led to such a massive outpouring of input from our students. So we were right to act on that input. The recent signing of the new school police protocol fully implements that motion. There was a reference in the motion to renegotiating the school police protocol. So rescinding that motion now would make no sense and in fact lead to no action. Now, if the province wishes to force school boards to go against the wishes of our community that were so clearly expressed to us in 2020 and 21, I think that would be unfortunate. However, I have confidence that the board and our local police service will find a way to implement that direction in the most humane and equitable way possible. But that doesn't mean that we should rescind the motion that we overwhelmingly passed in 2021. Indeed, I think there's more evidence now than even then, such as the Ontario Human Rights Commission report, Dreams Delayed, addressing systemic anti-Black racism and discrimination in Ontario's public school system, which detailed the harmful impact that police in schools have had on Black and other marginalized communities. The Human Rights Commission has also spoken out against Bill 33. In terms of news coverage, there was a report in Mississauga media where a racialized student, it was in the Toronto Star, a racialized student in Peel Region said that they would simply stop going to school if there were officers stationed there. So I think we made the right decision in 2021. There's no need to rescind it now, and I will be voting accordingly.
Thank you. Trustee Weston.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. I share similar views as Trustee Pajatowski. I wasn't sure why this motion was brought forward. I think it's premature. Bill 33 isn't legislated yet, so we're discussing something that may change as it goes to committee, as it's debated in the legislature. And if it is passed, then the legislation would supersede any motion or policy that we currently have in place. Again, I agree with Trustee Pajatowski that we listen to our community and the feedback from our students, and we made the decision at the time that I supported and I continue to support. But as mentioned, if we are legislated to do something different, then of course our board will follow it. So I'll be voting against this motion, as I don't believe it's necessary to pass at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Watson.
Thank you. So
I'm going to just read a bit of our policy around guiding principles. And this has to do with consultation. And it basically says that the WRDCB recognizes the vital role of consultation and the importance of meaningful two-way communication, and that the board will strive to create a cooperative and productive consultation environment that demonstrates respect for due process, appreciates the legitimacy of different opinions, and recognizes the value of diversity and dialogue, and that the board will collect all comments, feedback, and input and review the relevant contributions. The information collected through specific consultations will be used as input to the specific process. Now, I remember 2021 too, and the committee decided not to do broad consultation, but took it upon themselves to say, okay, we're done. We're not going to consult. We've heard enough. I don't remember getting 300 emails. Maybe they were just sent to the committee people. But I do think that, you know, when we look at the fact that we didn't consult, that we say in our information that it's really important to us, I think we need to do this over again, and I think we need to do it the right way. And that means getting information from everyone and not just the committee picking certain groups and then just saying, okay, we have enough. If Bill 33 passes, we're not going to have a choice, but we could be proactive. We could take a step forward and say, you know what, we didn't do it right the last time. We're going to do it right this time. We're going to talk to everyone, and we're going to find out. Our violent incidences are on the rise. No one seems to know why. You know, could this contribute to it? I don't know. There's lots of speculation out there, but I do think that it is important for us to learn from our past mistakes and really, you know, put what we're saying down, what we're putting down in policy, actually do it. And not, it sounds good, but if we're not actually doing it, then it's just lip service. So I will be supporting this motion, and I think we need to completely go back to the drawing board and do this over and do it right.
Thank you, Trustee Woodcock.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My first problem was trying to find the motion itself. It wasn't in the package. So I've now found that, and I realize that it's to rescind only certain pieces of that motion. And I'm wondering if this is premature, this discussion and the motion, because I'm quite certain that Bill 33 is going to pass, and we will be having some legislation regarding this this issue or this item. So I would like to make a motion to postpone. I think it's postpone. I don't know if I want to table or postpone. I need some help from the gurus. After Bill 33 is enacted or passed, whatever the terminology is. That's what I would like to move that.
Corporate Manager Idell.
Thank you, through the chair. So we're looking for a motion to postpone to a certain time. Is that what we're working for
Yes.
the passing of Bill 33?
Yes.
Do we have a seconder for that motion? Trustee Ramsey? Any discussion? Go ahead, Trustee Ramsey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do second it. I think it's a prudent approach to a very important discussion. I had some other things I had to say, but you know what? I think it's more for the main motion. So if it's postponed, I think it'd be reasonable to do so.
Thank you. Trustee Weston, did you want to speak to the postponement?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm not sure whether postponing this changes my viewpoint, because if legislation is passed, then that would supersede anything that's in this motion. So we'd still be in the same place. So, but I'm open to hearing reasoning why postponing it would end in have a different result in the end.
Trustee Woodcock?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you to trustees. The reason I'm proposing that we postpone it is until after Bill 33 is approved or passed or whatever the content of that is. It would give us more information. It may not change the discussion that we will have, but I think it's important that we have that discussion. And if we wait until after Bill 33 has been enacted or approved, then we will have the information that we need from the ministry or from the, from the ministry regarding having these programs in schools. And it would just give us more information to consider, and it may not change people's opinion of whether we do it or not. But I would prefer to have that discussion when I have more information from Bill 33.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion about this? Trustee Piekowski?
I'm actually going to vote against postponing because I think that rescinding historical motion would not be the right way to deal with new legislation anyhow. It's something that was decided by this board 4 years ago. The motion calls on us to rescind our apology. I guess we're not sorry anymore if this motion passes. And so I can't see passing this as the right way to respond to new legislation when we receive new legislation.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
What's your point of order?
My point of order is that we're talking about the motion to postpone. We're not talking about the actual motion. So I think it's important that we stick to whether you want to postpone or not.
I do not want to postpone. I wish to vote on this tonight.
Thank you, Trustee Piekowski. Is there any further discussion on the postponement of the motion? So, a recorded vote? Okay.
Through the chair, this is the recorded vote for the postponement of the motion. Trustee Cody.
In support.
Trustee Estoesta.
Opposed?
Trustee Johnson.
Opposed.
Trustee Meisner.
Opposed.
Trustee Piekowski.
Oppose?
Chair Edlin.
Opposed.
Trustee Ramsey.
In favor?
Trustee Wasim.
Opposed.
Trustee Watson.
In favor.
Trustee Weston.
Opposed?
Trustee Woodcock.
In favor.
Student Trustee Kaur.
Opposed.
And Student Trustee Trivedi.
Opposed.
And that motion is defeated.
So we are back to the original motion presented by Trustee Ramsey. Is there any, I have some names from Trustee Estoesta. You had some discussion on that?
Yes, Madam Chair. One of the things that, one of the reasons why I won't be voting in favor of this is I really do think that we need to have a full legal review to ensure that we have an understanding, and that can't be done until legislation is set. We have expectations that are outlined to school boards with the Dreams Delayed report. This would be a sunk legal cost if we do this multiple times. So in good financial aspects of this, I want to wait until legislation is forward, which will then tell us what we have to do with it. And so I will not be moving forward with this motion.
Thank you. Trustee Ramsey, I had your name down previously. Do you have?
Yes, Madam Chair. If there's anyone else that wanted to go, I was just going to.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see Trustee Johnson's hand. Is your hand up, Trustee Johnson? Thank you. Trustee Johnson.
Thank you, through the chair. I just want to say I will not be supporting this motion. And it's important, I think, a message goes out that the way things are working right now, I think are working really, really well. When I visit schools, talk to principals, hear about incidents, I think we have a very healthy working relationship with the police at this point, and I'm very grateful to them for that. And I want to make sure that message is very clear, that we have things are going, I think, basically quite well, and I think it's important that we understand that we are happy with, shall we say, status quo at this point. May change if the ministry decides otherwise. So I will not be supporting this motion.
Trustee Ramsey and then Trustee Woodcock. Trustee Ramsey? No? Trustee Woodcock?
Through you, Madam Chair, thank you. I'm just looking at the actual motion, which wasn't in the minutes, and what we're talking about. And the motion is to rescind paragraphs 2, 3, and 6 of the original board motion regarding school resource officers, etc. And I see the paragraphs are things that I would like to talk about another time, but the motion itself is about rescinding those three paragraphs. And at this point, I am voting against the motion in order to, and we will be getting more information later. I don't want to have staff start preparing developing a procedure when we don't know what the procedure is going to be from the ministry when Bill 33 passes, or if and when it does. So I'm going to, unfortunately, I'm going to have to vote to not support rescinding those 3 paragraphs.
Thank you. Trustee Weston.
Thank you. Through you, I'm also looking at the 3 paragraphs, and paragraph 6 is about writing a letter that has already been sent, so I'm not sure how we rescind that letter. And paragraph 3 is about writing a procedure, which we've been advised from staff that there is a protocol in place that took a lot of time, staff time, police staff time to put together. It was done, as my understanding, in a collaborative way. It's also in effect across the our coterminous board. So there is a clear procedure in place. So I'm not sure I want to rescind that at this point. And again, the ending of the school resource officer program, that may be superseded by legislation, provided that the regional police services actually have an SRO officer program in effect, which my understanding is right now they have a community officer program in effect. So I will be voting against the motion.
Trustee Wasim, was your hand up? Trustee Wasim.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, seconding what Trustee Weston said.
Trustee Piakowski.
Yes, I just wanted to respond to something that my colleague mentioned about violent incidents being on the increase. I think if we drill into those statistics, you'll see that the increase has come predominantly from the junior kindergarten to grade 3 age group, and bear in mind that we cannot suspend students under grade 3. Any from a provincial government directive. So that tool has been taken out of our toolbox, and I think appropriately, but it would, suggesting that having police in schools is going to stop junior kindergarten students from hitting their classmates. I don't think that's actually the intent of the SRO program. In fact, MPP's Dixon's assistant was quoted in response to a demonstration in front of her office that it's not about enforcement, it's about relationships. So arguing that is going to help us enforce rules, that's not what the program was for. I think there's a common saying that if the only tool you have in your toolbox is a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. And I think that we have other tools. We have a positive working relationship with our local police service, and I hope that relationship continues. We have signed a new school police protocol, and it's in effect, and I think it's working. I don't think that we need to have police in schools, and if we're ordered to do that, then we'll deal with that legislation as appropriate. But I'm not in favor of rescinding our previous decision.
Thank you, Trustee Watson.
Thank you. So I'd just like to say, having school police officer, resource officers, it is about relationships. It's about starting over. It's about building new relationships. It's about making sure that, there is this respect and relationship building that can occur in the future, and improving on what was. In terms of our violent incidences being mostly JK to 3, I'm not sure where Trustee Piatowski got that information, because I didn't receive that information. In fact, I bring up how our violent incidences have been on the rise almost every time we get the report. And I have not heard that from staff. Maybe they said it, I don't remember it. In fact, we have an expulsion committee where I don't remember anyone from JK to 3 coming to that committee, and there are incidences of violence. And so we get a yearly report. We can clearly see that there are weapons. So what I'm saying, please don't generalize and make it something that I haven't heard. And we need to be able to start building community, bringing students together instead of this constant separation. And that means with community members, and that also means with police officers. It's time for a fresh start instead of continually just making the same decision, voting down the same motions. We need to be proactive, and we need to start thinking forward and what could be, not what we personally don't want.
Thank you. Trustee Wasim.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So the Student Achievement and Wellbeing Committee, which is where Trustee Ramsey's motion was initially brought up, had at that same meeting received a student suspension and expulsion report, in which we did discuss some of the reasons why certain cases of violent incidents in schools may be increasing. And we did have Associate Director Bill Lemon address some of those questions. There were a number of reasons, some of them related to staffing, some of them related to better knowledge around how to report and what classifies as a violent incident. So there were numerous other reasons that were cited in this discussion.
Thank you. And for clarification, it was Superintendent Hume who gave the presentation. Are there any other, is there any other discussion? So I think Trustee Ramsey?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would just said I'd be the last speaker, if that's okay.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I don't see anybody else.
Again, I just want to thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to just remind that like a recorded vote on this, and I'm going to drag this out just very briefly. I think I need to respond to a couple of the comments, a couple of the key comments that were made by at least a couple of my colleagues. One referred to a massive outcry. I was a member of the committee, and I was appalled with the way the discussion was handled. At the committee level, the consultant that was engaged by the board was using information from Oakland, California schools, and suggested to the committee, and actually told the committee that they got rid of their police in schools program. I've been to Oakland. I can tell the board, and I told the committee at the time, that at the end of the day, Oakland Public Schools had their own police service. I'm speaking of their own police service, metal detectors, and that's what the SRO program in Waterloo Region was being compared to. Two different kettle of fishes. That said, I piggyback on what my colleague, Trustee Watson, mentioned about the protocol, and also what someone else mentioned about MPP Jesse Dixon's office saying the SRO program is about relationships. I totally agree with MPP Jesse Dixon. It is about relationships. And the irony is that the protocol is about enforcement, a reaction to calls. And my colleague, Trustee Watson, highlighted some of those. And I don't think we need to even want to get into anything where it's just that we're trying to embarrass the board. However, there's been quite a number of calls for service. I'm not going to specify because this current administration, it was not under their leadership, and I'll just leave it at that. Also, I will very briefly mention that there was no significant consultation with the community, and in fact, our student trustees, who were supposed to be our eyes and ears, back then, I would say they were, for the majority of the time, they were mostly ignored in terms of what their input was and what they were hearing from their classmates and what they brought to the committee, and it was rejected. That is a fact. So I don't think we need to try and dress this up as if it was some broad consultation. What it was, and I'm using a quote here, it's not my original thought, is that there was a bit of a moral panic that took place in 2021, and it governed a lot of things a lot of decisions that the board made at the time. And I know that some of the trustees here were not on the board at that time, but it seems like you've fallen into line with what those decisions. And as I mentioned earlier, when I introduced the recommendation, we're treating this as a settled decision. It's not. It was flawed how we arrived at the decision. The police service, I can say factually, and I have receipts, the police service was largely ignored in terms of the input that they were allowed to give. And again, it's very clear where this is headed. It's very clear that the board wishes to send a message to the Minister of Education, the Honorable Paul Callender, that he can say what he wants to say, and this board and other boards like it are going to continue doing what they want to do. So,
Point of order. On the inference of what the rest of the trustees who have articulated their reasons for why they are not voting for it, I believe in our meeting norms, it says that we have to assume positive intentions and that we state our own opinions. And I have clearly stated the reason for why I'm not voting, and it is not for the reasons that Trustee Ramsey has put forward.
That point of order is upheld. Trustee Ramsey, I remind that disagreement you know, that's what democracy is, a variety of opinions, and people are free to agree or disagree without being labeled for their opinions. So, not seeing any further discussion, we are going to have a recorded vote on Trustee Ramsey's original motion.
Madam Chair, if I may indulge the board, I think it's really important, and I think Trustee Woodcock had pointed out that those minutes, I guess assumed that colleagues had read 2, 3, and 6. So if it helps, could I briefly just read out what it is that we are voting for or against? 2, 3, and 6, I can just briefly
Go ahead, Trustee Ramsey.
Okay, so we talk about 2, 3, and 6 of the original board motion. Number 2 is that the Waterloo Region District School Board agrees to end the school resource officer program effective immediately. So I'm asking for that to be rescinded. Also asking that number 3 be rescinded, that the Waterloo Region District School Board develops a clear procedure limiting the role of police in schools other than incident response. Community partners with capacity to deliver presentations and support services currently being provided by police officers should be identified, vetted, and promoted throughout the system. Asking for that to be rescinded, and that the number 6, that the Waterloo Region District School Board write a letter to the region of Waterloo requesting that the funds previously used to deliver the school resource officer program within the Waterloo Region District School Board be reallocated to community-based services for youth. That is one of the things I'm asking that we rescind, because, again, I'm not going to waste the board's time in repeating what the Legislative Assembly is saying. It's very clear, and I think trustees are aware.
Thank you, Trustee Ramsey. We are ready.
And I'm not sure, Madam Chair, I'm not sure if my colleague, Trustee Johnson, is in distress. She's waving her hand. I'm not sure if she's trying to do
I think it's... You have read your 3 points. Thank you very much. We are about to proceed to vote.
Through the chair, we will start with Trustee Cody.
Yay.
Trustee Estoesta.
Opposed.
Trustee Johnson.
Opposed.
Trustee Meisner.
Opposed.
Trustee Padkowski.
Opposed?
Chair Radlin.
Opposed.
Trustee Ramsey.
In favor?
Trustee Wasim.
Opposed.
Trustee Watson.
In favor.
Trustee Weston.
Opposed.
Trustee Woodcock.
Opposed.
Student Trustee Corr.
Opposed.
Student Trustee Trivedi.
Opposed.
That motion is defeated.
Can I now have a motion to accept folio 20? Trustee Weston, seconded by Trustee Meisner. All in favor? And that is, any opposed? That is carried. So there is a recommendation, the Student Achievement and Wellbeing Standing Committee met. Can I have a motion to approve the recommendations from that standing committee? Trustee Johnson, seconded Trustee Wasim. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? That is carried. So moving on to reports, we first of all have our inclement weather process by Superintendent Fedesoff.
Good evening, trustees. Hope you're well. I wanted to share how excited I was to be talking about severe weather with the Blue Jays still playing meaningful baseball. However, I would be remiss as we talk about weather not to say that my thoughts are not with those in the Caribbean this evening. and their families here in the region, particularly in Jamaica, as they prepare for the arrival of Hurricane Melissa, which is now a Category 5 hurricane and the strongest on record this calendar year. As we talk about forecasting weather, I think their severe weather preparations are quite significant in this moment as they go through this evening. The purpose of my presentation is to give you a perspective of the inclement weather decision process to ensure student safety, particularly APs 4130 and 4180. Next slide, please. This infographic, when it actually shows up on my screen, is posted on our website. The spelling error that is on that infographic will be fixed, and it is a part of our weather-related communications throughout the snow season. Next slide, please. Fingers crossed. There we go. Last year, you'll recall, we could not see any of the streets in Kitchener-Waterloo, and we proposed that might be due to incoming snow. This year, you can see all of the streets. There they are in the region. And this is the Kitchener-Waterloo street map. Next slide, please. The black streets now that you see now are those that our transportation, our buses travel each and every day in Kitchener-Waterloo region. If anything, you'll notice that over 90% of the streets in KW have a Waterloo Region District School Board bus on them at some point of the day. Next slide, please. This is also Cambridge, where well over 90% of the streets are used by student transportation vehicles there as well. Next slide, please. At the regional level, student transportation vehicles travel over 40,000 kilometers every day. There are only a few streets throughout the entire region that do not see a school vehicle at some point during the day. Bus routes often cycle from traveling on arterial roads to side streets several times throughout their route, and a typical journey to work involves tertiary roads to main roads. Next slide, please. Municipalities are committed to completing snow 24 hours after a snowfall has ended. They prioritize those streets, starting with main and arterial roads. They then shift to GRT routes, hills and curves, and then the balance of those back streets. Only when priority areas are done do they get to those side streets, often, which is where some of our schools are. And unfortunately, streets have priority over sidewalks. So with heavy snowfall, or in case of absenteeism, resources get reallocated to roads before sidewalks, if any of you were to get calls. Next slide, please. We look at current road conditions before 5:30 a.m. Ontario 511 is a valuable tool for that. We look at the weather forecast, precipitation, wind, all of those play a role. And we have to consider the capacity of municipalities and townships to maintain all roads. When snow gets to about 10 centimeters, that's when we get significant issues. And it's important to remember that Kitchener-Waterloo may look very different from Cambridge or the townships. Next slide, please. AP 4130 takes 5 scenarios into account that we must consider when the weather comes out. On the morning of possible severe weather day, every effort is made to make a decision before 6 a.m. I think there were a couple times when we went past that in the previous year. A decision is very rarely made the night before, and I think Director Miller had the honor of doing so the previous year, making that very rare call for a big storm that headed our way. Next slide, please. The first situation is when all transportation routes are canceled and all schools are open. That has occurred 7 days in the last 4 years. Next slide, please. In situation 2, all transportation is canceled in Wellesley, Wilmot, and Woolwich townships. We know they can get different weather sometimes than we do, and yet schools are open. In the last 4 years, that has happened 1 day. Next slide, please. Situation 3, that's when Wellesley, Wilmot, Woolwich, and North Dumfries have transportation canceled and all schools are open. That has also been only 1 day in the last 4 years, sorry. Next slide, please. Situation 4 is when the entire system is closed, and that was 7 days in the last 4 years that we have had the entire system closed. Next slide, please. Situation 5, we've had many times, I should say that. That's when we have extreme cold alerts, and we are alerting the community that there will be a cancellation of temperatures due to that. Quite often we have buses that can't start. A number of things go wrong. The Education Center does remain open, and we do remind families to dress accordingly, that there is this high risk of frostbite. Next slide, please. In any of the 5 scenarios, we do make every effort to communicate by 6 a.m. through our corporate website, our school websites, our school media channels, and media outlets. If you are watching the news at that time of day and there is weather coming, you see schools being open becomes one of the top news items of the day. Next slide, please. We will be providing information to our staff, students, and families, what they need to know prior to a severe weather event, if we do know one is coming, and on the day of. If we have an event on the day of while schools are open, we'll have a rollout messaging across our websites. Next slide, please. Here's the history of school closures over the last 4 years. We had one day I was not here for that was somewhat unique, where Wellesley, St. Clements, and Linwood were closed. But other than that, you can see there have been very few days throughout the year that we've had to do so, and we do take that decision quite seriously. Next slide, please. With that, I say thank you, and go Blue Jays.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. My question is about bus delays. You mentioned sometimes in cold weather buses don't start. Just wondering if you could remind community about how they would be informed by something like that, and if there was somewhere they should sign up to get alerts, or if it's automatically through school day.
We would be going school by school on how that's affected. Transportation would be in touch, and we would be letting families know as we know. Sometimes we don't know until the buses are already moving to their stops. It's dependent on the driver communicating with dispatch and then communicating to the school to make that late notice. Families can sign up through transportation department to get those notices. Again, it happens if they know, then our families will know. And sometimes that communication can break down. If the driver, for example, isn't able to get to their bus in time, there are a variety of things that can happen in that day. It has been rare, but our schools do their best to notify families as quickly as possible, as does our transportation department.
So that would come through a school day email, and if they were signed up to STSWR, they would get an email, is that correct?
Yes, in the best case scenario.
Good evening, and through the chair, I'm proud to introduce WRDSB's highly skilled math team. They are going to share a little bit this evening about how we take up as a system the ministry's Math Achievement Action Plan. And before Jamila Maliha, the superintendent with purview over mathematics, opens for the team, the item to watch for in this slide deck. Yes, write down. How many students were supported by math facilitators in 2024-2025?
She's a teacher. Thank you. And through you, Madam Chair, Good evening to the trustees, members of the board, and guests. We appreciate the opportunity to present our Math Achievement Action Plan. The plan focuses on improving math achievement through three main priorities: ensuring fidelity to the curriculum, strengthening educators' math content knowledge, and using data-driven insights to address the unique needs of every learner. At WRDSB, we are committed to enhancing math instruction by building the capacity of educators and administrators and closing learning gaps. Tonight, we outline the key strategies we've implemented to achieve these goals, share the successes we've seen so far, and reaffirm our commitment to improving math outcomes across our schools. Please join me in welcoming our central team who will guide you through the presentation.
Good evening. I'm Siobhan Waters, System Administrator and Math Lead for the board, working alongside Superintendent Jamila Maliha. Joining us this evening are Leslie Ann Unsworth and Carolyn Gingrich, consultants in learning support services and key members of our Math Achievement Action Plan, which we affectionately refer to as the MAP. The Ontario Ministry of Education's MAP for 25-26 supports boards in improving instruction and achievement in mathematics. In response, the WRDSB has developed a local plan that aligns with the ministry priorities while expanding on them to reflect our system's needs. The ministry's Taking Action in Mathematics framework emphasizes that educators at all levels play a role in creating a culture of excellence in mathematics and setting the conditions for success. Our presentation tonight will provide an overview of how this plan is being implemented, the refinements that have been made since last year, and how we're measuring its impact across our schools. In aligning with the ministry's priorities within the WRDSB vision and direction for learning, it's crucial to emphasize that our beliefs and our strategies for math education are firmly rooted in the conditions for learning and the board's strategic plan. We have synthesized our guiding beliefs and values into a clear vision related explicitly to mathematics. These beliefs are comprehensive, spanning all grade levels from kindergarten to graduation. We continue to focus on three key ideas that guide how we support all our learners. You may recognize the slide from last year. We moved away from using modified programs as a first response and are instead building a tiered system of support that meets students' needs within the classroom. This work reinforces our collective responsibility for student success and our belief that every student can develop the knowledge, skills, and confidence to find success in mathematics. This past year, we focused on strengthening a tiered approach to math instruction so that every student receives the right support to build confidence and success in math. At Tier 1, teachers plan lessons using universal design for learning and differentiated instruction that meet the needs of all learners and make math accessible and engaging for every student in the classroom. At Tier 2, small group instruction is recursive and responsive, built into ongoing classroom planning and revisited as students' needs change. Many of you have seen this in action through our Coach's Corner model, where educators use data and group students flexibly and provide targeted support on specific skills and concepts. At Tier 3, students receive more intensive small group instruction, typically twice a week for 30 minutes, to strengthen key skills and prepare them for success in upcoming classroom learning. We've seen encouraging results. Students who began the year needing more support, the most support, are now working more independently and confidently with grade level material, proof that when help is timely and focused, all learners can thrive in mathematics. As we reflect on the first 2 years of the Math Achievement Action Plan, we're encouraged by the progress we've seen where Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports were implemented with fidelity. Schools that embedded small group instruction, targeted intervention blocks, and consistent progress monitoring showed measurable gains in student confidence, accuracy, and problem solving. These improvements were most noticeable in classrooms where educators received ongoing coaching and where data was used regularly to adjust instruction. The results reaffirm that when intentional layered supports are in place and sustained over time, students who were previously struggling can and do make meaningful growth. I'm now going to invite Carolyn up for the next chunk.
Good evening. The 2025-26 Math Achievement Action Plan continues to align with the three priority action areas outlined by the ministry in the Taking Action in Mathematics framework. We continue to describe these priorities as the what, the why, and the how of our work to improve math achievement. The what focuses on strengthening curriculum fidelity and effective instructional practices. The how emphasizes building educators' math content knowledge for teaching through ongoing professional learning. And the why, the reason behind this collective effort, is to ensure that every student develops as a confident and capable mathematical thinker. This year, the ministry has refined the process for local implementation. Rather than identifying 3 strategies for each area, as we did previously, boards are now selecting 1 ministry-approved strategy per priority. Our selected strategies reflect both provincial direction and local priorities, informed by our data and by the voices of educators and students across the system. So within Priority Action 1, Curriculum Fidelity, our focus is on strengthening the consistent and effective implementation of the math curriculum through proven instructional and assessment practices. And this year's strategy centers on drawing explicit connections to and between mathematical processes during lesson planning while supporting the use of high-impact instructional practices. To achieve this, we are providing administrators with the tools and resources they need to support their teachers in implementing these practices with fidelity. This includes building principals' capacity to observe, provide feedback, and monitor the use of high-impact instructional practices within their schools. By focusing on both implementation and monitoring, we are deepening instructional alignment across classrooms and ensuring that every student benefits from high-quality mathematics teaching. Next, within Priority Action 2, Math Content Knowledge for Teaching, our focus is on strengthening educators' understanding of mathematics and deepening their confidence as mathematical thinkers. This year's strategy, Modeling a Positive and Curious Learning Stance in Mathematics, reflects our belief, informed by the work of Marian Small and Pam Seda, that mathematics is about critical thinking and problem solving, not simply getting the right answers. By helping teachers see themselves as confident and curious math learners, we're encouraging classrooms where exploration and reasoning are at the heart of learning. When teachers model curiosity and tackle challenging problems alongside their students, math becomes a subject for thinking deeply, asking questions, and finding different ways to solve problems. Through professional learning, coaching, and administrator collaboration, we are intentionally moving our system toward this mindset, where mathematics is understood as a discipline of thinking, not only of memorization of facts and algorithms. The final priority action, Knowing Students as Mathematics Learners, focuses on ensuring that our teaching, assessment, and interventions are responsive to who our students are and how they learn best. This year's strategy emphasizes planning, teaching, and assessing in culturally responsive and relevant ways that motivate students to take ownership of their learning and progress in mathematics. This work is deeply informed by the research of Zaretta Hammond, John Hattie, and Pam Seda, whose work collectively reminds us that knowing our students, academically, culturally, and personally, is at the heart of effective instruction. When educators intentionally connect mathematical ideas to students' lived experiences, they build trust, increase engagement, and strengthen belief in one's own ability to learn mathematics. To support this work, administrators and teachers are working together to look closely at student learning and classroom practices. They're using what they learn from data and observation to identify students who need extra support and to plan specific next steps. This approach helps ensure that teaching is grounded in evidence and focused on the learner, meeting each student where they are and helping them move forward with confidence. Through the ministry's Math Achievement Action Plan, the WRDSB has received targeted funding to focus improvement efforts through the addition of school math facilitators, as in the past. These facilitators are working directly in ministry-identified schools. While the map outlines specific supports for identified schools, our approach is intentionally board-wide, The plan informs both the central supports we provide and the directions schools are taking to strengthen math instruction and achievement across the system. Ministry funding has also allowed us to expand access to high-quality digital math tools. For the 2025-26 school year, we have again licensed Knowledge Hook, which supports deliberate practice for all students and helps identify individual learning needs for targeted intervention. We have also purchased Reflex to build math fact fluency for students in grades 2 to 7, and added Frax and Gizmos to broaden access to engaging interactive learning resources. Later this week, we'll be sharing a pre-recorded webinar for WRDSB families who are interested in learning more about Reflex, how it works, and how they can encourage and celebrate their child's progress with it at home if they choose to. Finally, the ministry will again be subsidizing educators pursuing additional qualifications in mathematics. Last year, 77 educators completed Math AQ courses, a significant increase from 47 the year before. This continued investment in professional learning strengthens both teacher capacity and system-wide alignment in math instruction. I'll now pass things over to Leslie Ann, who will share more about how we're implementing the MAP within schools and supporting educators who are bringing this work to life. Leslie Ann.
The ministry-funded math facilitators are actively supporting this vision in our ministry-identified schools by working closely in classrooms and directly engaging with students. In addition, we are currently planning ways that we can continue to support teachers at those schools that are not ministry-identified with the revised elementary math long-range plans. This year, our Administrator Learning Series brings together leaders from all schools into a single unified learning experience. Rather than running separate sessions, we are intentionally creating a shared understanding of how to lead effective math instruction across the system. The series is grounded in the work of Pam Zeta, emphasizing mathematics as a discipline of critical thinking and problem solving. Administrators are also engaging in learning around developmental progressions of mathematical concepts, how understanding builds over time, and what this means for supporting students who are not yet meeting provincial expectations. This learning is intended to strengthen the conversations that occur during the student support process, helping teams identify concrete next steps for each learner. By grounding discussions in developmental progressions, administrators and teachers can precisely determine where a student is in their mathematical thinking and what specific instruction or interventions will move them forward. Through this shared learning, we are equipping school leaders to guide more targeted, informed, and student-centered approaches to mathematics instruction across the board. This year, we've continued to expand the range of planning and intervention resources available to educators to support math learning at every tier. In addition to Tier 1 materials such as developmental trackers and building community lessons, educators now have access to a strengthened collection of Tier 2 and Tier 3 resources. These include data tracking tools to monitor student progress and sequenced problem sets designed to guide small group instruction and targeted intervention. Together, these resources provide a consistent, system-wide approach to planning, assessment, and intervention, ensuring that every student receives the right support at the right time to experience success in mathematics. Although there are currently no ministry-identified secondary schools in the Math Achievement Action Plan, we recognize the importance of continuing to support excellence in mathematics across the entire system. To that end, our focus this year includes strengthening secondary mathematics through new resources and targeted supports developed over the summer. We have created scope and sequence documents for grade 9 and 10 mathematics designed to provide clear instructional pathways and direct links to classroom activities that can also support Tier 2 instruction. We have also introduced system-provided check-in diagnostics within Knowledge Hook for grade 9 and 10. These short assessments give teachers immediate insight into students' readiness and understanding, helping to identify learning needs early and guide responsive instruction. Finally, we are trialing a new gap-closing program for students entering grade 9 who may need additional support to fully engage in de-streamed mathematics. This work aims to ensure that every student, regardless of their starting point, can participate meaningfully in rich, high-quality math learning. Now I'll pass it back to Siobhan.
As we move into the third year of the Math Achievement Action Plan with math facilitator support, our focus on measuring progress continues to evolve. In the first year, our attention was on educator engagement in professional learning and building confidence in mathematical content knowledge. Last year, we began examining how that growing confidence translated to classroom practice. This year, our focus has shifted once again to understanding how these improved practices are directly influencing student learning and achievement across our system. Our measures include report card achievement, diagnostic skill assessments, attendance data, along with some repeated surveys of students, staff, administrators, and this year we hope to include families. These multiple data sources give us a comprehensive view of both at system and classroom level progress, helping us understand not just what is changing, but why it might be changing. We will continue to report to the Ministry of Education 3 times per year, November, March, and July. And these submissions are more than a formal requirement. They serve as an important checkpoint for reflection and course correction. Each reporting cycle helps us refine our strategies, deepen professional learning, and ensure that our actions are driving meaningful improvements in student success in mathematics. Thank you once again for the opportunity to share an update on the Math Achievement Action Plan. I'd like to extend my gratitude to my co-presenters and to acknowledge the exceptional work of our math facilitators and the broader summer writing teams. Their collaboration and expertise has been instrumental in ensuring that we can continue to support both teacher and student learning in meaningful and sustainable ways. We will return to the board twice more this year, aligned with our ministry reporting timelines, to share updates on the continued implementation and monitoring of the plan. With that, I will now turn the proceedings back to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, System Administrator Waters. It's always very exciting as somebody who has seen some of this in action. It's always exciting to hear that these things are happening, and I really appreciate the enthusiasm and commitment to student learning. So I think I saw Trustee Wasim's hand first.
Thank you, through the chair. So, love seeing the stats on one of the first few slides about 83% of students moving back into, I think, a typical classroom structure for their learning with additional support from your team. What happens with the students who don't show that improvement?
Okay, through the chair to the trustee. I will say, yes, we recognize that that's 83% of students who saw growth that moved them from one category of achievement to another, because we needed to measure our movement from emerging to developing to proficient. So I don't want to imagine that that means that almost 20% of students saw no growth. I think it's really important to acknowledge that students grow and learn at different rates and times. What that tells us is they're going to need to continue support in that area. So we would need to go back and work with, and that's some of the work we're doing this year, around understanding developmental progressions around math and helping our teachers have that information so that they are able to more responsively address a student who didn't see that same movement or growth.
Follow-up? Trustee Woodcock?
It's actually a two-part comment. Thank you for the report. It's excellent work, and I'm so excited to see the progression and progress that we're making. And could we see the slide with the answer to again? Oh, sorry, I missed it.
Anybody know the answer? Over 2,000 I'm hearing. Trustee Woodcock, I lost track.
I just want to compliment staff on the work that they're doing. We're spreading the good news of MAP, and it's awesome.
Thank you. Trustee Wester?
Thank you. I'd also like to thank staff for supporting over 2,000 students. and all the great work that's happening. It was my pleasure to go to Queen Elizabeth in last year at some point to watch this in action, and seeing the kids really engaged at all the different centers and all the activities they were doing. My question is about the program you mentioned about when students have gaps entering grade 9. And I'm just wondering how those students will be identified, and if you had any more information on that you could share.
Sure, through the chair to the trustee. So this is something, we were looking at our data from grade 9 math, and we wanted to make sure that, and listening to our teachers and our students, we even spoke with a few families around how we could support students feeling more confident and ready for mathematics. And so we did some work and decided to try this program. The program, we relied on the elementary schools to do the identification, and the course is only running in first semester. So the idea is to get them off on the math foot, to get them into that program so that they can be in the 1W course next semester. And I'm going to share that we had a principal called me because they wanted to know about a conversation they'd had with a family. Before that, I want to thank Carolyn for the work she did with teachers over the summer putting together materials, because I think what they did is foundational where this comment came from. A parent stopped a principal at one of our larger high schools to thank them for the math program that their child was in. And when asked why, the parent had responded that for the first time in 2 years, they weren't fighting to get their child to go to school, which math had been a barrier that was making them feel like they didn't want to get up to go to school, and that the parent attributed that to the new math program. So we hope, it's gonna take us a little bit of time to know that the moves we're making are also impacting more than student attitude, and hopefully we'll be able to have some information about that in the future.
Great news indeed. Follow-up? Trustee Estresta?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you to staff for this presentation. Even though I've only been a trustee for a little bit of time, this continues to be one of my favorite reports, as you all know about the questions that I always give you all. I just wanted to make the comment that this is such a testament to what sustained funding can look like when you're able to do a mature program. Over the years, you can see the growth as you started. I grew up in a farming community, so I'm going to use a farming example. First, you identify the field, and then you till the field, and then you fertilize the field, and then after a few years, you have a really good yield. And we're starting to see really good yields that are coming out of this program, which is a testament to the sustained work and the maturity model that you've all put together. I love how you're starting to transition outside of the aspects of what is being told to us by the ministry and saying, that's good, yep, but let's go beyond. We already see the patterns. So the grade 9 program is such a great example. I know that we consistently are seeing when students are moving from grade 9 and 10, where they're in, when we're starting to see the ability to choose your classes and the confidence that comes with that. And the line that math is foundational to students' access and agency, often there's the fear that you don't have the agency to actually pursue your career or your pathways because of mathematics. As this program matures, I know you're only going to give us a couple more reports on it. Will there be any identification work on what this means for grade 9, grade 11, grade 12, and continuing that student lifespan? So it's not just from JK to the end of elementary, but how we can support them and making sure that they have that agency as they choose their careers outside of the WRDSP.
Through the chair to the trustee, I almost forgot, that's why. So what I would say is our ministry identified schools and the supports that the ministry provides directly around the map are only elementary. And so we have been learning, and that is where the work of the summer writing team, we took what we learned about what's happening in Tier 2 in our elementary program and invested in pulling together scope and sequences documents for grade 9 and 10, where we embedded Tier 2 opportunities. so that it's available to teachers, and as we support them in that tiered intervention model, they're not needing to go and find like we're pulling it all together for them in a way that we did similarly for elementary school, where we've seen good uptake of that.
Follow up
Yes,
with
thank you.
not too much introduction, please.
Yes, very quick. Based on these learnings that you're bringing to the grade 9 program, is there any plans to share that with other school boards and the success that we've had within that?
So what I would say is the ministry is helping us do that. We had a number of meetings facilitated by the ministry last year, where the ministry had pointed school boards to us. We had our first meeting, our first what they call one-on-one with our Ministry of Education folks this morning, and they continue to be excited by the work we are doing. And so I don't know that I would, like, where that will go and where we continue. They hope to come visit us this year again, and we'll kind of continue to work with them.
Trustee Watson.
Through you to staff. So it's interesting, the ministry, this is their initiative. It's wonderful. I'm thankful for it. And they're doing a good job of monitoring it, for sure. And so, getting that feedback from them, there's some consistency, which I'm thankful for. Do you find that there are any trends that you keep recognizing? And, and if so, what are they? And what's the solution?
So through the chair to Trustee Watson, I think we see trends that when teachers' confidence grows, their confidence in supporting their students where they are then goes to practice. And we saw that last year. And so as we develop the instructional practices and refine the instructional practices of our teachers by giving them access to those long-range plans that have now the evidence that we've gathered to support their use, I think that continues to build on those pieces, and we've seen some measures where we've seen student progress, and then this year we're really going to be focusing on what are our students experiencing as a result of that work. But we do know when over the last 2 years we've measured, how comfortable teachers felt in teaching the materials at beginning, middle, and end, and then shifted it to now how comfortable do they feel about providing intervention. And so I would say that as we've seen that grow, we see the student responses to Tier 2 and Tier 3 interventions improve. So we continue to want to make sure that our second priority area is really focused on making sure they have the supports they need.
So just a follow-up, thank you. So is there a plan from the ministry to continue to support teachers? Because what I'm hearing from you, that's the key. That's really where, those resources need to, I know in other places as well. So is there any long-term plan for that sort of prioritizing?
So I only have the information the ministry would provide to me. I can't imagine where or what they will be moving to next. We know we have this for this year, and at this point we understand it to be year to year. What I would say is, here with the support of the great folks behind me, we've been able to leverage the work and those small resources that we get into how we create whole system resources and whole system response. And so we'll continue to do that for as long as we have those opportunities.
Thank you. I do have a couple questions. So first of all, I'm noticing the differentiation, I guess, in the digital math tools. So we have some that, fractions, fluency, and so on. So are these tools equally available at secondary and elementary? Or are some of them particularly elementary and some
Yes. Through the chair to the chair. I think we had to do this last time as well. What I would say is the programs themselves, when they create them, are targeted at certain grades. We recognize, though, that that may not be fully applicable to all. So what we have done for most of those tools are focused on elementary. There's not a lot of secondary schools or secondary tools. Knowledge Hook, though, does provide into secondary. What we've done is provide some grade level recommendations. So aside from what they might have produced, so the company might say this software is for this grade, we have gone and looked at our scope and sequence documents, and we've looked at the information that we have from EQAO to make some recommendations. So we make recommendations about reflex that has addition, subtraction, and it has a multiplication division. And we always have on grades where we're not necessarily recommending it, we actually have a double asterisk that says, this might be appropriate for a student based on where they are in their learning, and please discuss that as a school support team, because you know your student best. And we've worked with those companies to ensure that those situations are covered under the agreements we have for license. So reflex, for example, we mentioned is grades 2 to 7. And so we could see a use case where a grade 1 or a grade 8 might need that software, and we've worked on those agreements to that point. Gizmos is also fairly broad. I think it's grade 3 all the way to grade 12. And so we just are relying, we have those recommendations, and then we rely on the expertise of our teachers to know their students and what tools they best need.
Thank you. And my second question was that I noticed that in the data we are required to report to the ministry, one of the items is modified IEPs, which as a board we are moving away from. So I guess my question is, are we an outlier in this? How do we report what we are hopefully not doing to the ministry?
So, again, to the chair, I want to be careful that we understand that every student's learning is going to be different, and that by saying we're not modifying or we are modifying, what I want to say is we are meeting students where they are and helping support them in their growth and journey. And so we report on that statistic, and they haven't provided us provincial level, so I don't know how we compare. In our conversations with the ministry, I believe that we are not by any means an outlier, and they are very appreciative of the idea of the collective responsibility that we have around our special education students' needs. We talk a lot about if we need to slow things down for a student, what's our on-ramp to get them back? And so those conversations, rather than worrying about a checkbox, are the really critical conversations, and it goes back to our decision to look at the developmental continuum of mathematics this year and to really empower our educators and our administrators to have a more fulsome understanding of the developmental progression, not just a curricular progression.
Thank you. Trustees, are there any further questions? Student Trustee Trivedi.
Through the chair, thank you. This project is incredible. As a student myself, I use Gizmo and Knowledge Hook. I used to use Knowledge Hook, but I use Gizmos very often for chemistry and physics, and it's extremely useful. Regarding mathematics, how do you think these tools will have a long-term approach for like the future? Let's say in the next 10 years, will these tools be used for a long-term approach, or are you researching more tools that can be used for example, high school students?
Yeah. Through the chair to the trustee, we absolutely reviewed the tools that we had, and we asked for input from other folks, and we do travel to conferences to see and look at other things. I would say when we were looking at our grade 9 gap closing course in particular, we did do a deep dive on what's available for high school students. And there is not the same number of tools. So Knowledge Hook, it started actually as a local company, has great reach in the Ontario school boards, and it is looking at continuing to develop. It goes to grade 10, as you noted. You're not using it any longer. But I think what we found when we talk about like long-term use, so something like Reflex that works on math fact fluency, so traditionally, your times table, what it's done is gamify the situation. So when we're talking about some of those pieces that might have been considered a mad minute Although there's a timing aspect to Reflex, it's not the same pressure as a Mad Minute creates fun. But the games it's built are built with a very elementary perspective. So our recommendation, even for a student who needed to work on that in high school, wouldn't be that they use it, because blowing up a balloon with your bear just doesn't have, it's not responsive to the student in front of us. So it's about, again, looking for those tools in places and trying different tools when we find them. But we do challenge that they fit in our comprehensive math approach, that they can't just be busy work, and that we have to have data that shows us that engagement for students is meaningful and provides progress for their learning.
Follow-up? Trustee Johnson?
Thank you through the chair. I just also want to reiterate, thank you for the superb work you're doing and the creative energy you're putting into everything. And I hope that you're going to invite us to come and see it in action, because what I love about watching these interventions in action so much is how much it is such a conversational interaction thing between the students, the teachers, the facilitators. The energy in the room is always so different than the typical sit in your seat, do what you're told, follow. It's such a great atmosphere, and it's kind of the ideal learning environment. So just put a little hint there. Thanks.
Seeing no further questions, thank you so much for this presentation. Thank you for being with us tonight, and please pass our appreciation on to the rest of the team.
Thank you for having us, and go Jays.
Go Jays. We now have the Director's quarterly report. Director Miller.
So through the chair to trustees, I'll just wait for the presentation to come up on the screen. Thank you. And in looking at this report, and this is a new report, and it is for information, and the hope in creating this report is to be able to share with trustees and the public, certainly, the work that is happening with our senior team, the work that is happening through the director's office, the work that trustees are doing in response to supporting schools, to supporting student achievement well-being, and also creating community partnerships through their work with many of our organizations, as well as how we're engaging with parents and families. So tonight I will be taking you through a number of things that certainly that I've been engaged with, but also many of the people in this room that I have the privilege of working with, and in addition to trustees who've been part of many of the events and other things that I've had the privilege of being part of. And in doing so, also being able to highlight just the many conversations and opportunities for consultation that these events provide, and also realizing that this is not an exhaustive list, but certainly some highlights that have happened from the summer to date. And I also apologize, some may be repeats from even earlier tonight, and those I will just add some brief highlights. So next slide, please. I think it's important that whenever we think about our multi-year strategic plan in the Waterloo Region District School Board, the one strategic direction, certainly that is one that we talk a lot about, is centering students. And unfortunately, in this case, there is a quote on this slide that's difficult to read in this room, but I will read it to you. And it is: the Waterloo Region District School Board is committed to creating schools and learning environments which support the success, achievement, and well-being of all students. And through the work of our Board of Trustees, through the work of senior team, through the work that is continually happening in our schools, one good example you just heard around the Math Achievement Action Plan, this is something we strive to do in partnership with parents, with families, and our many community partners. The other that we think of or spend a lot of time is that multi-year strategic plan and our big ideas, and how do we operationalize that. And we will be bringing forward in the upcoming board meetings our Board Improvement and Equity Plan, and really, which is an operational plan of the work that we do in the attempt to ultimately achieve what has been laid out in our strategic plan. And what also I'll talk a little bit about tonight too is then what does that look like in our schools, and that work is done through our school improvement process, to which in many of our presentations you hear about, but I'd say also most importantly is bringing within our schools and our classrooms the conditions for learning, which again are something that we often talk about, thinking about what do relationships look like within our schools. Certainly that's between students and students, the caring relationships that occur between teachers and students and the many adults in the building, those caring adults, and the relationships that our schools are always striving to build with parents, family, and the many community organizations that are coming through our schools each and every day. Next slide, please. So certainly in my time as director and feeling that it is really important is being involved in getting into schools. And certainly that is the work of our superintendents as well. This year we continue to look at many ways that we are able to get into our schools for conferences with principals, but also getting into the classrooms to see that the very work that you hear about here in the boardroom is taking light and coming to life in our schools. So the one thing that I've had the privilege of doing is being in a variety of schools, certainly, as I said, in my time in this role, but I'd say more importantly since the beginning of this school year. And that's allowing me to get all over the region. Certainly I've been in Kitchener schools, Waterloo schools, into Cambridge and the townships as well, and continue to prioritize that in my weekly activities in the role as director. And with that also comes some great privilege. I had the great opportunity, along with Chair Radlin and Superintendent Fetisov, to be at Willow River for the school opening just a short few weeks ago. Certainly, we continue to work through that construction, and I want to take the opportunity, too, to thank Superintendent Sagar and Senior Manager Dallin for the great work they're doing and leading as we continue to come to finalization of that school. In addition, that first day, and I believe Chair Radlin made the visit too, but the importance of getting over to Sandown, as many of you are aware, with some of the struggles we had, or struggles that we experienced with Elizabeth Ziegler, that Sandown became a much bigger school this year, but the importance of getting there, being part of it, checking in with Principal Grant O'Grady and Vice Principal Jamal, and just wondering and seeing how they're doing, and again, the work that happened to allow what has been a successful start to the school year there as well. The other part that I find so fulfilling is just seeing the work that you hear about here around multi-year structural literacy plans, the Math Achievement Action Plan, coming to life in the classroom, having the opportunity to talk about teachers and their feelings about the resources that are coming into their classroom and how they're being supported and being able to implement. Also, a real privilege is, I think, all of us when we walk into schools, and certainly the first people we meet are typically the secretaries, and the positive manners that come and the welcoming school environment that they certainly provide. The opportunities to walk the halls with the principals and vice principals, going into classrooms, speaking to educational assistants, child and youth workers, teachers, and I would say most importantly students, and hearing them just share their experiences as I have those opportunities, and then too often bumped into custodians and seeing the valuable role that they play in engaging and supporting students as well. So some real opportunities to highlight the work that continues to happen in our schools. And also recognizing some of the tragedies that do happen within our schools. And this year we've lost some staff members as well as a couple students, and checking in on those school communities, and as we do as a team, to just ensure and support the best we can through what is critical events, but then the follow-up as well. Next slide, please. That's I think one back. Maybe one erased, I'm not sure. Oh, there it is, right there. Thank you. And again, talking about the various things that have happened through community and being part of student events, and started the year September 7th, had the privilege of attending the Mela event, which is run by our Indian Canadian community of Waterloo Region, and just is an opportunity to share the many cultural celebrations, the dances, the performances, and it is something that has been going on for a number of years in our community. I had the pleasure of being there with Superintendent Chatha, System Administrator Tawari, and Human Rights and Equity Advisor Alawalia, and also a number of other leaders throughout the region chair, the Mayor of Kitchener and Mayor of Waterloo, councillors, as well as the chief of police. So being able to be part of those communities, seeing many of our students were the students performing, a number of the parents in the audience were also teachers and others who work within our system. In addition to those types of events too, I think the other that was of recent was the kickoff to the United Way campaign. We have had a long-standing partnership with the United Way Waterloo Region and they have been our charity partner for well over 3 decades. The kickoff was what they call the 1,000 Umbrella Walk, which went from the City Hall in Waterloo to City Hall in Kitchener, with Trustee Piatowski part of that event, as well as many of our union partners there, to be able to check in with them and hear about the work that's happening. And also want to thank Jeff Pellick, who is the president of EDFO, as well as to Tanya Stroud, who's a principal of Edna Stabler, who has taken on the fundraising campaign here for the Waterloo Region District School Board, and they are acting as the chairs. And our fundraising campaign will have it start on November 3rd, so that's coming up as well. In addition to that work, also recognizing the work that happens in community, and more recently, many of you know, we've had the Working Center in Kitchener has been a long-standing support for a number of our community members who are certainly less fortunate, and people have volunteered their time and contributed often to the Working Center and had the opportunity to be at their new home, which opened just recently on Victoria Street, with in addition to the many resources, now there's a residence component as well that I know certainly our community welcomes. In addition to that, later in September, many of us had the opportunity, Superintendent Maliha, System Administrator Tuari, myself, Associates Director Games San Vicente and Lemon, Chair Radlin, and Principal of Blueville, Principal Yonke, as well as a number of our staff attended the Caribbean Canadian Association of Waterloo Region, as well as the Canadian Congress of Black Women of Canada in Waterloo Region, where we had a number of awards. There were, at that group, all through contributions through community, 22 scholarships, 8 of which were given to current Waterloo Region District School Board students, and there was a number of students from our board who already had moved on to post-secondary in some capacity or a trade, and they too were recognized through some scholarships opportunities. All in all, it was an exciting day. In addition to the leadership that was there, a number of staff through our equity department were also present as well that day. In addition to that work, and it's already been highlighted around Truth and Reconciliation, and specifically the National Day of Mourning on September 30th, there was many opportunities. Chair Radlin spoke to our participation in the community walk from the Healing to the Seventh Generations down to Victoria Park. Associate Director Lemon also engaged and participated in that day. There was a sunrise ceremony at the University of Waterloo that he was at that day, in addition to, again, a number of our staff, our equity officers, as well as other staff from our Human Rights branch. A highlight of the day, I'll say for me, is walking down Frederick Street. I was walking past Sotheby School, and all of the students from the school were outside to showing their contributions to this day and their learning as well. So thanks to Sotheby to be part of that. And then ending at Victoria Park, where we had the opportunity to listen to a number of speakers who either had experienced residential schools personally, and certainly our Indigenous community members who have had and continue to have generational trauma from that experience, and many loved ones who've impacted them. But coming together as community and being able to hear those stories and recognize that we have the ability to take action was, I think, something that everybody walked away with that day. Next slide, please. In addition, and something again that people have already heard about is around Chair Radlin and Vice Chair Weston attending the Special Olympics through the Ontario group being at Stanley Park School with a real focus on the work that happened through our ACE classes. Again, six schools beyond Stanley Park were part of that opportunity. I know System Administrator Steve McCrae was also able to be there, supporting through his leadership with special education. And in addition to wanting to highlight the work of a couple of our teacher leaders that day, the ACE teacher at Stanley Park, Lindsay Hickey, as well as the phys ed teacher, Jessica Lubert, who were instrumental in having that day and sharing that experience. In addition to, I'll go to the next slide, please. In addition, and again, already spoken about earlier today, was the work around Black Brilliance and the opportunities of looking at pathways to post-secondary. And that fair happened at Kitchener City Hall, where again a number of staff were there and present that day. Superintendent Hill, Superintendent Maliha, Chair Radlin, Associate Director Lemon later in the day, and myself had the privilege of seeing, again, the various post-secondary institutions that were there, whether university, colleges, opportunities for trades, as well as a large number of our community organizations were there as well. So that, and being able to engage and build relationships with families. In addition to that, just last week, myself, Associate Director James San Vicente, and Human Rights and Equity Advisor Alawalia had the privilege of being at Waterloo Region's Community Safety and Wellbeing Plans kickoff around We All Belong Here in Waterloo Region, which is a campaign to bring Waterloo Region together and combat hate. It was an exciting day. There was great representation from many organizations across our community. We will be holding our own day on November 7th at Forest Heights Collegiate, where I believe there will be a number of trustees at and others who have been invited. So that will all be something that people will be able to be part of and continue to encourage this opportunity of building a community of belonging within Waterloo Region. Also, as we work through October, there was the opportunity of, through the Laurelwood, Vista Hills, and Clare Hills community, organize a Diwali festival, which happened at Rim Park on Saturday. There was well over 300 participants that day, many again of which were our students and families and parents, and the performances that happened, the singing, the ability to do storytelling was something, it's always a privilege to be invited in to other cultures, traditions, and community, and to be able to see students shine in other ways just than outside of school. Part of that opportunity was MP Bartosz Shagar was there, Waterloo Councillor Royce Badali, in addition to school principals being part of that as well. And then that evening, Chair Radlin, Vice Chair Weston, and Associate Director Lemon have already talked about the Tamil cultural celebration that they were part of. In addition, MPs Bartosz Shagar and Connie Cody were present that night, as well as Trustee Cody. Next slide, please. And just to highlight it, I think it's important of the many things that we get invited to, and whether that be community meetings, parent meetings, and certainly through the work and ways that we're continuing to engage our community. Had the opportunity near the end of August to be part of the Camino Wellbeing and Mental Health Strategic Planning feedback in our framework, and was invited to give our feedback of how we experience Camino as a community partner, and certainly well represented by a number of agencies and others throughout the community. On September 24th, another day, we had the opportunity, myself, Associate Director Lemon, Associate Director Gabe San Vicente, in addition to board members from Better Tent City, as well as Waterloo Region Police Services, who support the collaborative work that happens with our neighbors here at the Education Center, to be able to talk certainly about how things are going, how we can work together to better support the residents of a Better Tent City. The other things that happened around some meetings recently, one had the opportunity at the beginning of October to meet with Waterloo Region Police Services Police Chief Crowell, to which we had quite a great conversation, I would say, around potential partnership opportunities, community safety and well-being plan that continues to happen throughout our region, and the role that police services are playing, as well as having just discussion around regional leadership and how we as a school board continue to and are able to contribute to the larger community. Also, in addition to these opportunities, was one of our board committees. Was a parent involvement committee, held their first meeting at the end of September. At that, Vice Chair Weston was there, Associate Director Gabe San Vicente, Superintendent Collis, and Principal Bender, who is one of our principal reps, were able to be there along with the committee, and just want to thank those parents and others for putting their name forward to be part of that. And then early in October, too, the Waterloo Region Assembly of Public School Councils, affectionately known as RAPSI, also had their inaugural meeting of the year, and again had the opportunity to be there to thank all of those school council chairs for the work that they're doing within their school community, along with Superintendent Newlands, who was also present at that evening. And that brings us just sort of to the end around government relations and advocacy. Next slide, please. And maybe we'll go back to the Terry Fox run, because I was a little out of order, but we'll go back to that. My apologies. But we have had an opportunity certainly to engage often with our local politicians, our members of parliament provincially, and also our MPs. Going back to the summer and providing a real opportunity for advocacy. You just at our last board meeting, you heard the report on our summer enhancement and summer programming. We had the opportunity, and Chair Radlin was there along with the summer learning team and Superintendent Chatha, our leadership team, to be able to welcome MPP Dixon. And what was a great opportunity for us was to be able to take MPP Dixon throughout the classes where we were very much involved in literacy learning and numeracy learning. You heard about in September the amazing supports we were able to provide. Some really good questions and conversation arose from that, and certainly something I would be hopeful that the MPP can take back too, just to show that when we have these levels of support, some of the great things that can happen certainly in our work. In addition, a couple other highlights have been the recent State of the Region, where our chair, Karen Redmond, was able to speak to what our goals are within Waterloo Region for the year ahead, and certainly for us and the many community partners in that room. Chair Radlin was present there as well, to be able to hear the plans and what our contribution as a school board can be. Recently and tonight, Trustee Woodcock spoke to the recent State of Kitchener mayoral address of Barry Verbanovic, and just the direction supporting local, and then to how do we partner, which also was an opportunity for me to meet specifically just with Mayor Verbanovic and also Dan Chapman, who's the Chief Administrator Officer of the City of Kitchener, to be able to talk again about partnership opportunities moving forward. And I will say I left the best for last, and maybe we can go back to that Terry Fox slide. And I can't believe the only picture they got of me was when I was walking, because I was running the entire other time. And just
you were too fast for the camera.
Thank you, Chair Radlin. In addition to school visits, certainly are the opportunities to be part of special events, and certainly what I think has been incredible, and it's hard to believe, it was 45 years ago that there was the Terry Fox Marathon of Hope, and for some may remember that he ran down King Street here in Kitchener, right, what was the Lyric Theatre, and many changes since. But anyway, those opportunities, to see our students recognize that they're doing something for probably a disease that has impacted them in some capacity, and all of us in some way, and to be at Hillside that day, and just to thank the good work of their administrator team, and also the teacher leader again, Amy Moses, who had a very personal connection and is leading that work. And then after that, as has been talked about already, the opportunity of Vista Hills, where Lionel the Lama, I believe, visited, and to be there and see how excited the kids were, and then to know that they had raised that money, and the many names that were pulled out of a hat, where the Lama was kissing teachers, kissing the principal. It was quite something to see. So a wonderful way to celebrate incredible contributions, and I believe that is the power of public education, is the recognition that all of us are able to contribute in some way, and when our students are able to do it, how good they feel about themselves, and whatever that looks like, and whatever they're capable of, and certainly that resonates to our staff and to our parents and our families, our community, and to be able to grab on to these special moments. And just along those lines of Terry Fox, it was incredible that 98 of our 123 schools participated, and it could have been more, but those were the ones that got back to us. And in the time we have been engaging the Terry Fox Run and the Waterloo Region District School Board, we've raised over $2.5 million for cancer research. So I will end there, and again, these reports are meant to be quarterly, and will continue to evolve, and certainly always open to feedback too. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Miller. Trustees, are there any questions? Trustee Woodcock.
It's not a question, it's a comment, and I think we need more llamas.
Any other comments? Thank you, Director Miller, for the time you're taking to build connections with community and with staff. It makes for, it helps everybody's well-being, so thank you. Moving right along to question period. Trustees, are there any questions? Seeing none, are there any future agenda items? So can I have a motion to adjourn? This is the most enthusiastic part of the meeting. So Trustee Johnson, seconded by Trustee Woodcock, all in favor. This meeting is adjourned. Please drive safely as you race off to watch the Blue Jays. And we will hope it's a win.